What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Sports Card CEO.
Did he get another one? Oh, Gallo's on his way back. He got it! Santa Maria! Lindor again!
There it is! He did it! A 40-70 season, and a season unlike any other in Major League Baseball history for Ronald Acuna Jr.
There's a drive to right, off the bat of Evan Carter, and what a postseason he is having.
He hits this one hard. He hits it a mile to left. Mike Trout has ripped a home run.
What's up, guys? This is Mike Trout, and you're listening to Sports Card CEO with Kern, Bubba, and Ham.
It feels like we've been doing this, guys, forever. And it seems like just yesterday. What is this, like our 35th episode or something?
That's right. Number 35.
Look at that, baby. Right on the money. Just right in the money. See, Bubba, so much is stored up here, and it's just right when I need it.
Special mind. It's a special mind.
It's special. That is for sure. Well, boys, we appreciate everybody listening. It has been a good run. We've had a lot of success. We are wrapping up our giveaway of the Connor Griffin Refractor Auto PSA 10. We appreciate everybody who's been liking and following on Instagram and sharing that out. We'll have that announcement shortly. We've got a really big announcement on the end of the show today about a new challenge that we're going to put forth on behalf of the CEOs and our listeners. So super excited about that. But as we kick off every episode, let's go for a week in the life of the CEOs. Bubba, fire away, my friend.
Well, we're starting a new trend here. We're back in school mode again. We're back into sports mode. It's just not baseball. It's my friend Kern's new favorite sport, football, which we'll talk more about later in the show. So we got football practice every single afternoon. It seems like football games, but we have been very active. Have Kern and I in the background on some big purchases. I don't know if we're going to announce those today, what we've done. I'll let Kern share what he wants to share there. So done a lot of buying and selling with Kern lately on some huge cards. On my own front, I've been kind of just nibbling. I've been buying a lot of Zahir Hope. Yeah, I'm giving away my secrets. He's incredibly undervalued. He's a screaming buy, in my opinion. Everybody else is on Zahir or on JJ Weatherholt right now. Everybody else is on Nick Kurtz. Everybody else is on all the shiny little objects out there. I'm just going for the guy that's going to be the shiny object next year. And that's Zahir Hope. So I'm buying a lot of him right now. When I'm buying refractors at $100 to $125, something is wrong. He is criminally underpriced right now. Buying a lot of him. And I am starting to buy my boy, Michael Harris. Shout out to Michael Harris. He's gotten crushed, and rightly so, for how bad he has played to start this season. But he's the hottest hitter in baseball. I think he's 400 since the All-Star game. He's made a huge adjustment with his hands. I posted it on Instagram the other day. So those are really what I'm doing. I'm kind of picking away at the guys I feel like are undervalued. I'm selling some stuff, but I'm not out there in the trenches buying the shiny objects right now, unless Kern and I are buying a real shiny superfractor together. That's it for me. All the time, pretty much. On my front, personal front, I had a little accident last week. I told these guys it was like 12:30 in the morning here, and I thought my son got up, and we're in a rental house, so I'm not familiar with where all the furniture pieces are. And there's upstairs. I ran up the stairs, and it's pitch black, and there's this huge like stone bench, like real stone bench, tough. And I turned this corner, and my shin went right into the corner of this stone bench. The stone bench, the corner of the bench broke, and it went right into my shin, and I had to go get stitches. Right on my shin. But man, I was in so much pain, and everybody was sleeping in the house, so I couldn't like scream, and I was just like rolling. I was just rolling around on the ground, like, and I was like, I could have sworn I could see my bone. It was that deep. It was crazy. And when you bump your shin, it's painful, right? Like my God, man, I wanted to scream at the top of my lungs. But yeah, other than that, all good here. As Gary said, we've bought a few nice shiny objects together. We did sell the Bryce Eldridge Superfractor, which we alluded to last week on the show. So that was a nice sale for us.
So are we talking about what we bought, or are we just like teasing everybody, including me?
I was just about to say we did buy the Charlie Condon Superfractor, and
we made a deal, a straight trade deal for the Bryce Rayner Super, which we were very pleased about because I think
Love that.
I think that kid is an absolute stud. He's out for the year and he's a buy right now. He's too good to not come back strong. His value really hasn't dipped, to be honest, since the injury. I still think he's undervalued. So yeah, that's it on the card front.
Well,
Yeah.
at Ham House, as you know, I alluded to the last episode, I had eye surgery last Tuesday. So we are a week removed from cataract surgery from the old man on the show.
How do you feel?
It's an adjustment, man. So they basically remove the lens in your eye and put in an artificial lens, and it's a trifocal lens. And so you have like distance, mid, and near, and your brain has to adjust to that. So like it kind of feels like somebody has my right eyelids like pulled wide open because there's like so much light coming in and it's so bright. But like my left is like kind of trying to counterbalance. So
Kind of how I feel right now with the
yeah,
light shining so bright in my
I
eyes.
had these nifty blue light glasses that I was wearing, and little Matt said I was forbidden to wear them on the show. So no, it helps me when I'm at the
I
office.
was wondering why you look like a mix of like Max Scherzer and the guy from The Waterboy with the crooked eye on one side.
Yeah.
Billy Boucher's boy. That was good. You're playing the foosball behind my back.
Kind of hitting reset on some financial stuff for us as a family, hitting some reset on Ham House Sports. And so I have been really trying to restructure a lot of things in my life. I told Liz the other day, I feel like the word the Lord's been giving me lately is the word reset. It's just like I have a bunch of reset going on in my life. My vision's being reset. You know what I mean? My business with Airlie Oak Insurance Group is having some restructuring, which is all positive. It's just adapting to the resetting of these different areas of my life. We're coming out of summer, getting ready for, fall and the school season. So there's a lot of reset there. We're getting ready to kick back off with my nonprofit entity, Faith in Business, that we do. We're meeting next week for the first time after a few month hiatus. So just reset is kind of the word for us. But on the card front, we had I can't even begin to contextualize from our personal success what the last 45 days has been. Little Matt has just been an absolute machine at understanding the market and really getting into very niche, low population stuff, from vintage to the Jordan inserts up to the Bowman. And we've done a really good job of kind of like cleansing through a cycle of inventory. And now we're kind of back to a spot where we're looking at, what's next. I'll be honest, my personal gut right now feels so hesitant at the market and where it is right now. Just a bit of a backstory. So when I graduated from college, I was hired by a developer in South Florida, the Palm Beach area. And that season, people were buying property in South Florida like hotcakes. And the current market triggers my mind to go back to the days of like early Florida investment real estate. And I don't know what it is, if it's like post-traumatic stress of what I went through back then, but I see so many parallels with the market right now and like what I experienced back then that it's kind of wild. And so I'm having to kind of like personally adapt and navigate to the reality of a very booming, busy, healthy market when I have this kind of like stashed away experience in my head of watching something that looked good turn. And so that's kind of been just a very honest from the gut, personal experience of me on the Ham House Sports side in the past week.
Well, to me, Ham, that's also what's, I think it's really smart to be that way. I think when you lose control of that in the card space, you're in trouble because it can change on a dime, as we all know, especially from season to season. I felt exactly like you, and I continue to feel that way. But I also do believe that what's really helping Bowman right now, and it's probably the biggest thing that we've talked about it till the cows come home, is how much limited inventory there still is of the good stuff. And so I feel from my standpoint, I'm just like you. It's hard to believe it. It's hard to believe that we're not finally in this frothy market, but I'm thankful for it because there was some really lean days in Bowman the last couple years up to this. And so it feels good to be where we're at. But I wanted to mention this, and I don't want to forget this. This is a key to this episode. Fanatics, we need you to hurry up and bump up the release of the next Bowman release. Our friend Kern here has totally lost it. He has texted me multiple times this week that he's in breaks of like absolute football breaks or something. Then last night he's in National Treasures basketball breaks. The man has totally lost his way, and we need to bump up the release. It's a request for his general health.
Yeah.
That the release is moved forward at least 30 to 45 days. Please.
Yeah, well, it's a September 10th release, so we passed that point. So, but maybe we could move it up like, even a week, because I'm sitting there and like, yeah, National Treasures football breaks, and like I don't know what I'm buying. Like I was in I took a Prism Deca box to my head on a break last night, and I hit some like red auto at a 99 of some rookie, and I'm like, I literally, everybody's like, sick hit, and I'm like, I don't know who the hell this guy is. Like I'm like, is this guy good? They're like, yeah, dude. I'm like I don't even know what I'm doing. I have no business being in these breaks. I'm just bored
Do these people
midnight.
know do they know who you are on these breaks? Like, who's this little creep over here in the corner? This baseball
Yeah,
guy.
no,
Who's this?
they're like, Kern, why are you buying basketball? Why are you buying football? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm just bored at midnight. Like, I don't know. I don't know. But I mean, it's my guy Billy doing the breaks, Billy Manzo. So I joined to help support him and Blez. And I'm like, please, rip some baseball, man. Like, yeah, I can't be buying this, but like, I want to have some action, and I can't help myself. Dude, Billy called me from one of the Legacy Sports hobby shop in Vegas, right? And this is the other night, and he's like, "Hey, like, you want to rip something? Like, like, yeah, I'll rip it for you on FaceTime." And I was like, like, yeah, that's a good idea. And I'm like having him do some shopping or whatever, and then I call Beef, and I'm like, "Hey, get on a 3-way FaceTime. Let's share something." We ended up ripping. We spent like $6,000 on Leaf Platinum boxes, and we had him rip Leaf Platinum, which is like a $3,000 box. And we hit like, I don't even know what the hell we hit. A Peyton Manning NFL Shield auto, a Judy Garland cut auto. Who was the president? I don't even know which president.
Jimmy Carter? Did you say you got a
Jimmy Carter? Jimmy Carter out of 7 cut auto and some other random stuff. Man, biggest waste of money of my life, but it was fun. It was fun. So yeah, I'm losing it. So move the release up, please.
This be the point in the episode where we call in the fourth party intervention.
Yes.
That would be my life.
That's what this show actually is today.
Yeah, it's an intervention for me.
Oh my gosh, this is so good, boys. Well, one of the things we talk about all the time on the show is with the Bowman market, what keeps the Bowman market strong is the hype around these prospects as they debut. So all of us have been heavily involved in this young fellow, and that is Samuel Basayo, who just yesterday was called up as the youngest position player in the major leagues in 2025. He DH'd yesterday, mid lineup. I think he batted 6th for the Baltimore Orioles. He got robbed of a home run. I don't know if you saw the game.
Yeah.
Home run, literally at the wall, over the wall, like completely robbed of a home run.
Yeah.
And then he did lace a 2 RBI single for his first major hit. Always helps when you have a prospect that does stuff like that on his debut. And quite frankly, Little Matt and I are bummed that we are already off the Basayo train, because I really think that guy's going to be a great major league.
I'm a little bummed about it too. I mean, everything I owned is gone, including the superfractor. But I just want to point out, it's just funny how from a release of a new set, like take 23 Bowman Chrome, for example. Who was the chase in 23 Bowman Chrome? Who was everybody going after? It was Ethan Salas.
Yeah.
But there's another, and look where he is now. He hasn't had a season where he's hit over 200 or stayed healthy, whatever. I think he was just he was well advanced for his age, not necessarily the most talented, but think about that. He was the chase and his prices were through the roof, but there lies another catcher in Samuel Basayo that was completely undervalued. And just, it's wild to look back on, look where Basayo is now, right? Like he's in the middle of a major league lineup at his age and where Ethan Salas is now. It just goes to show like things can change in a matter of, weeks or months, or it's wild. It's absolutely wild.
Well, that's what makes Bowman so much fun and volatile and so lucrative at the same time, is because, Basayo's been kind of frozen, if you will, from a price standpoint. But I feel like over the past 60 days with this call
I think
up.
it's going up.
Yeah, it's turned the corner pretty
It's
sharp.
going to turn the corner finally. I think now. I think he's going to have. I think he's going to be really, really good to start off his MLB career, and he's going to be a solid major league. His bat's too good. I think his market's going to go up now.
Well, I think I'll share what my buddy Brent Wayer posted yesterday. I don't know if y'all saw what he posted. He posted a comparison of Buster Posey and Buster Posey's pricing from 2 years ago when he made a post, and he showed Adley Rushman's pricing at the time. And Adley Rushman, I think at the time, was $1,700 or $1,800 on a blue, and Buster Posey was $1,200. Buster Posey's a Hall of Famer, right? Well, now Adley Rushman's at $300 for a blue, and Buster Posey's at $2,500 for a blue. And so I think that is the thing we've always talked about on this show is if you believe in Basayo and you believe he's undervalued at a blue right now, then by all means hold him. But also on the other end, if you don't have that conviction, chances usually are that they're not going to be Hall of Famers, right? I mean, Basayo may be a great Major League Baseball player, but if you've got that conviction on a guy, and that is the hardest part of this game, is figuring that out because there will be other buying opportunities, most likely on Samuel Basayo. I'm the same. I've sold almost everything I have of him. I still have a little bit, which I'll be selling right now as those prices are going up. But I think that's what's fun about this game too, is if you really like a guy, which I know the Hams have loved him since the start, doesn't mean it's the end of owning that guy. But you got to be smart. And sometimes that FOMO that we all feel it's good not to act on that FOMO because that's how you lose money.
It's funny. So Matthew and I were doing the math the other day on Basayo specifically. Like, I think we've owned 4 oranges. He said 5. And then, a handful, 3 or 4 golds. He doesn't have blues. And we've owned countless refractors or whatever. And I look back on Basayo, and I mean, our net profit on Basayo alone is probably north of 10K. And yet he debuted yesterday and we didn't have one of his cards when he gets his first hit. And it was really, it was like emotionally difficult, right? It's like you're so involved in a guy up to a certain point and then you're out, and then he debuts and you see him do well. And it's like, man, that FOMO is so real. And I was asking, I was like, well, Matt, I was like, man, let's just go get a refractor right now at $500, just because if it goes to nothing, I don't care. But if it becomes a $4,000 card, I'm going to feel, you know what I mean? Like, But at the same time, this game, if you're emotional, you lose, in my opinion. If you're emotional, you lose. And that's just how I have to remind myself all the time is to get the emotion out of the way.
The refractor thing, I love that we talk about refractors all the time. And we say refractors for people that are new to the hobby, 499 refractors. Okay. To me, it is the most, like, if you love a guy, it's so much easier to stomach owning a card at, like he said, $500, $300, $200, $1,000. For some of these guys that have arrived, for example, Connor Griffin, who we all love, $1,200 right now, right, for a PSA 10. If he is all what we think he's going to be one day, and he is the next Trout or he is the next whoever, that card's going to be way, way, way more. And you got to ride his journey with owning that card. And so to me, the refractor is, to me, probably one of the most fun cards to own as a true collector.
Yeah, it's a fun stash card.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can collect it.
100%. And one of the things you can talk about too is in the off season, right? Like right now, little Matt and I were already starting to talk about the off season. Like, baseball is going to kind of mellow out here over the next couple of months. There's a lot of teams that aren't in the playoffs. They're already kind of cashed out. And so what you can do is you can start looking ahead and thinking, all right, next year, who's going to be coming out of the gate that had a really good season and who has potential upside? You look at a guy like Basayo, who debuted late. Dylan Beavers just debuted for the Orioles, kind of late. You've got a guy like Junior Caminero who had so much hype, but I don't think his prices have really rebounded. I think he's a great offseason buy, and then you've got the prospect game kind of down the line. Walker Jenkins is super cheap right now. He's probably going to have a late season debut next year. There's just so many different opportunities in the next 3 months to set yourself up for spring 2026. And the guys that do this really well are going to eat.
Well, and you said reset earlier is kind of the theme of your life right now. It truly is the theme of Bowman really right now, too, in a lot of ways. Because as you get to the end of the season here, you've run through this whole Baseball America Top 100 list all the way through from the time we started talking about it with the onset of this show in February, January, all the way to where we're at. And now you look at that list and we're going to have a lot of graduates from that list. We have so many new names that we're sitting there and going, wow, we think he's the guy in 2026. But like you mentioned earlier, Kern, there's a lot of other guys. And that's the fun part to me, is finding the next wave. And that's the part right now. I'm sitting here scratching my head every single night going, who is the next wave? And honestly, I don't know who it is yet, but it's out there.
I know.
Sebastian Walcott.
Nah.
So the whole thing of call-ups, right? Like we've talked about and kind of debunked the idea that call-up is the time to, you know what I mean, sell, etc. Basayo is a perfect example for all of us. It's like we kind of got ahead of that. But who is in the impending call-up? Who do you guys have on the radar that might debut?
Well, I do just want to talk about a real quick, another call-up who had a stellar performance. Nolan McLean of the New York Mets, pitcher. He was phenomenal. The spin on his curveballs, like his RPM is unlike anybody's I've ever seen. Like, I don't know, I watched that entire game. Like he's a stud, dude. He's a stud. And I'm going to need that debut patch.
Is it like a Kershaw over the top?
Nah, it's not a 12-6. It's more of like a 2-7. Nasty. Just look at some highlights. Just shout out to Nolan McLean, man.
Well, another shout out to a guy that's got the call up, and this guy is getting no love, absolutely no love. I remember when his cards got a bump probably 2 years ago, just a slight bump, and then he got traded. Okay, and he got traded to the Marlins, and nobody wanted him anymore because he was the Marlins. I mean, his prices literally got cut 90% overnight. And the guy has always been a hitter. He's always been a player. And I own some of him now, and I'm glad I held on to him, is Jacob Marcy. His 53 at-bats since his call-up. No one's talking about him. 377 average, 4 homers, 15 RBIs, 6 stolen bases, and a 1242 OPS.
He was a part of a trade. He was with the Padres, didn't he?
Padres, yep.
He was with the Marlins now. Where'd he go?
He's with the Marlins, center fielder for the Marlins.
Yeah, I remember his bat being super strong out of the gate. He was in that 22 product.
Yes.
Because
22 draft, yeah.
Yeah, he was in 22 draft. There was another Padres guy, I can't remember who it was offhand, that we were into. Robbie Snelling was a pitcher, and there was another pitcher. Anyway, we used to pick up a lot of Marseille because he was like the guy nobody was chasing. And I remember people talking about his bat being super strong.
I wouldn't be surprised. Talk about call-ups. I wouldn't be surprised to see a call-up for JJ Weatherholt as soon as this week. I think August 16th was when his rookie status would still be intact for next year. So I could see it coming this week, a call-up for JJ Weatherholt. I mean, I don't think there's much more for him to prove in AAA. Guy's absolutely killing it. 22 years old. I think they're going to want to see what he's got, and he'll still have his rookie status intact. He won't lose that year of his contract from the Cardinals' standpoint. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him come up as soon as this week.
Another name is Bubba Chandler. I don't know what the Pirates have to lose at this point to giving him a couple looks to be able to have him come up next spring and be in that rotation. I really would be stunned if they don't bring him up for at least a start or two by the end of the year, which he's a top 10 prospect, big arm. I think he could be one of the next guys that you're seeing Reds and stuff going for crazy numbers because he's got electric stuff. When people see him, I don't know if I'd put him in the same category as Mizorowski on his stuff, but he's not far behind him. And he's going to get the Paul Skeens comparisons because he's on the same team. So that's an interesting guy as well.
So, fellas, kind of moving into the next, phase of today's show, we've got a lot of listener questions that come in. And one of the things that some of our listeners have been asking for is for us to highlight gains and losses. And again, we're not the type of guys, and there are guys like this in the hobby, and that's more power to them. Everybody has their freedom to choose to manage and handle their social media presence however they want to. We don't go out there and flaunt and say, oh, bought this for this and sold this for this, right? Or made this much. And that's really not the point of it. The point of it, though, is to kind of educate our listeners who are asking the true question, like, hey, what does this look like for you guys? So we want to be really strategic about how we do this as far as the gains and losses things, but I'd love to get y'all's thoughts before we move into additional listener questions.
All right. So my thought on it would be, I think it's a compelling story to be able to show the full story. The losses that I've taken this year, the gains, because I've had some great gains, which I've talked about a couple of them on the show. But it's also what's going to be interesting is you're going to see how I tucked in some losses as well. Because what I like to do this year is I had those big gains was also say, okay, it's time to hit the eject button on this guy. Because I was in this unique situation of having so much inventory. And they'll still, as I'm sitting here right now from a tax standpoint, it makes sense to take some losses, just like you do in the stock market. So I think it'll be a compelling story to be able to kind of show, as I'm looking at this, not only what am I trying to do and show profits and gains, but also what am I thinking from a tax perspective as year end comes, because I do have a good year of gains. Where can I take some losses that help me on that front as well?
Yeah, I think when we put something together to share with the show, it could be an educational experience as well of how how we each organize our P&Ls in a in a different way. So those of you that don't even keep one, it could be a helpful learning experience to understand why we do it, how we do it, and what the ultimate the goal is.
Again, part of the impetus and the heartbeat of the podcast is the sports card CEOs. We want to talk about the business side of life and how to manage businesses and CEOs and stuff. And we've already alluded to that on the show. We're all very different. And honestly, like in my life, I am normally not the hyper analytical numbers spreadsheet guy. That's just not who I am. I'm not a minutia details guy. I'm usually the big out front personality, kind of the connector, the communicator. But with Ham House Sports, it's weird because little Matt takes that persona on most of the time in our public space, and he's not the numbers guy on the back end per se. So I'm having to fulfill that role. And it's really weird because this year it's made me a little bit more granular, kind of like, we need to check our numbers, guys. We need to, and he gives me a hard time with it, but it's like somebody has to do it. So one of the transitions that we're making with Ham House Sports is wanting to bring someone on to manage our numbers for us so that I can
Ooh,
be
you're hiring.
out. Yeah. That I can be a little bit more upfront and get back into the fun part of the hobby, because I'm having to be on the unfun side of the back end, kind of X's and O's and whatever. And like, I don't like it. And that's when I'm like, I'm looking grumpy or whatever. It's not that I'm mad or angry. It's just, I'm having to do something in our business right now that's needed that I don't love. And I've got to get out of that seat. You know what I mean? And I think that's just helpful for maybe people
You
to,
should hire Justin. That works for me and that does all my stuff. I'm being serious. Like, I mean, he's got the time and the bandwidth to do it. And when we do the show, I'll share Justin and I's spreadsheet. So people that are listening are like, who's Justin? Well, he's my brother-in-law. And so most of my cards that I sell are my own cards. Stuff that I've had, I buy on my own. Well, about 6 or 8 months ago, he was kind of in between what was next for him in his career. And he had some interest in doing me in a card game. And I said, look, if you'll manage these numbers and you'll do this, this, and this, I'll split certain cards with you. And essentially, if you handle all this, you get 50% of the gain, 50% of the loss. And so I think it'll be fun to share kind of too how that story has gone, because we started with nothing, no inventory, kind of the beginning of the year, and he had no income to starting of the year. And last month, and this is a cool story for people that are just getting into this space too, trying to do this as a business. That's the first month Justin and I did it. We made a combined $600 profit on cards that we had together back in like January. This last month, Justin made over 13,000. This month, he's on pace to make over 20,000 in income in cards. And those are just cards we're splitting. And so I think that'll be a cool story too. I'll be able to share and kind of show the spreadsheet of how he tracks that, because it can be done.
yeah. And I think that's the testimony we want to say is like, hey, if you do this thing right, it can be done. It can be done right. It can be done well. Gary, thanks for sharing that, man. That's super encouraging for guys getting up and running. But the flip side of that is you got to have somebody that takes care of all the details. Because if you're not on the details, you can get your lunch handed to you. So moving on to the listener questions. Well, and we will have a future episode about gains and losses. We did have a listener call in here. So we're going to go live with this. It's a really good voicemail, and then we'll answer that and then keep moving. So here's the voicemail call in. And anybody wants to, it's 888-POD-CEOs, 888-POD-CEOS. You can leave a voicemail. Here's one that just got left last week.
What's up, fellas? This is Kirkley Sellers out of Greenville, South Carolina. Huge fan of the show. Been listening since the very beginning. And here in Greenville, pretty lucky to have a lot of access to Bowman, especially this year's 25, which is probably my favorite card set ever, at MSRP cost. But I do find that I've bought way too many megas, way too many blasters, and it seems like going to my local card shop and, buying into some of the bigger hobby boxes and delights and things is a little bit too much expensive for me. So I like to think I want to have the hobby pay for itself. I love the scenarios that you guys do, buying and selling, when to sell, things of that nature. And so I just recently sold a big lot of stuff, sitting on about $2,000 from some stuff I flipped. And I was wondering what y'all's advice would be on that. So you got $2,000. How are you going to spend it? You going to buy some, raw big cards, couple big graded cards, or one big graded card, several undervalued players who might pop in the future, and who would you buy? What players are you going to buy? So that's kind of my scenario that I wanted to throw out to you guys with like a $2,000 budget. I would love nothing more one day to tell my wife that I sold $300,000 worth of cards at the National. I think that she would probably give me a big hug and say, you were right all along on these baseball cards. But got to give a shout out to Kern real quick. Appreciate you always fielding my messages on Instagram. That's how I found you guys. My first Bowman box that I ever bought was a Mega of 2024, and I hit a Yamamoto 1/1 black. So anyways, I'm pretty obsessed. Love the show.
Awesome. So it was Kirkley, right? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, first off, I hope if he makes $300,000 in profit, he gets more than a hug from his wife.
Oh, that's funny.
I guess so. To reiterate, the question is, he has $2,000. What should he do with it? What's the best way to spend it? Right? I mean, definitely not on wax. Definitely not in a break. I think there's a lot of options of how you can spend that money. I think one option is to buy 2 raw cards of players that you like, who you believe in and thinks their values are down. If you can find the right raw clean cards and have a good come up when grading, at least on one of them, then you're in the money. Buying raw and grading a 10 is obviously the best way to come up and the quickest way to come up, as opposed to buying a PSA 10 and waiting for that market to explode. That's your best chance. So if you're if you're open to gambling a little bit, but not necessarily the break type gamble, right, or opening wax type gamble, I think that's your best bet. Try and target the 2 guys that you think whose values are who the guys who are undervalued, and target a raw card or 2, and try for the PSA 10 and try for a come up on one to cover the loss in the other if it doesn't gem, and keep moving.
That strategy was really our early strategy in the game, buying raw and grading. That has gotten more and more challenging as the market has gotten savvy, and it's really difficult to find clean cards. And so you've got to be aware of the downside risk, you know what I mean, and something like that. So I would personally probably advise somebody to try to look at a lot of 4 to 5 cards that you could buy in bulk at somewhere in the 80-ish% range on comp, and make sure that it has guys that you are into, and see if you can't turn, a quick 20% on moving those cards within a short time frame. Like if you're headed to a show, maybe buy something online, take it to the show, try to liquidate it or whatever, and try to be quick with a couple of deals and get yourself, cash. But I would be more inclined to go with one card that you knew you had conviction in, and be very strategic about buying it with the comp structure being where it is. I feel like if you're going to spend, 2 hours to sell a $500 card, you're going to probably spend 2 hours to sell a $2,000 card, and your profit margin is going to be much better. So I would say get really strategic and look at a lower number of cards rather than, like a big bulk. I would only buy the bulk if you're going to kind of turn it to make a quick 10 or 20%.
Yeah, I think both answers, in my opinion, are correct. My advice would be to do a combination of both at some point, but I think you have to choose one at the get-go. Do you go Ham's route? Do you go Kern's route? What I have had more success with myself has been to go with what Kern alluded to. I don't do as well buying 80%. I just don't find those deals as much. I know Little Matt's phenomenal at finding those kind of deals. I'm more of an eBay buyer, so the way I do things is probably a little different. But what I would do is try to find a card or two that you like the player, you like the projection. They're not today's favorite flavor of the week that you could lose your tail on tomorrow. There's somebody that you like but still has room to run. Okay. And so if you need help with that, you can reach out to any of the three of us and we'll try to give you help with that as well. I would probably go with a $4.99 Bowman first or a blue. Would probably be in somewhere in that price range. And I would buy not a sticker auto. Okay. And I know I'm getting basic here, but I want to make sure people understand that. Some people that are new to this. Do not buy a sticker auto, buy a true on card auto. And to me, I would buy 2025 Bowman. And the reason I'm saying, and that some people are going to be like, what? You're buying 2025 Bowman with the QC? The reason is because with this product on the raw, and especially the fines, people don't seem to almost want to spend the time and money to grade them. Okay. And they'll put a $4.99 up that'll be Jim. Okay. Because they just don't want to spend $35 of the time to grade it. You can do your diligence on these cards through eBay and you can really get and request other pictures as well. And you can see if that dinged up corner in the back is dinged up or not. And that is the key to this set. If that corner is not marred and it is still intact and you can see the centering very easily on 2025, I think you can find a lot of PSA 10s and you can grade them very, very cheap. So that's my thought. And my thought would be you do that and then you get the 10, you move on. No matter how much you like the guy, you get the 10, you double up, you make your money and you move on. You don't get the 10, then you got some thinking to do on, do you want to hold this guy? Do I want to, what do I want to do next? But that would be my approach if I had that to start that amount of money. And I think that's kind of a segue, Ham, to what we're about to do next. I'll let you kind of introduce that.
Yeah. So, the boys on the CEO have been talking, and we felt like it was a good season for us to, continue to do what we do really well on the show, which is, I think, provide good banter, good fellowship, good conversation around the hobby, around our personal lives, around business, around prospects, certainly, but to really kind of put our money where our mouth is. And so we are announcing what we're going to call the road to 100,000 or the road to 100K. And what we're going to do is each one of the CEOs is going to throw in 333.33, and Gary's going to throw in 333.34 because
Thank you.
and we're going to put this thing into action. We're going to take $1,000 as the CEOs, and we are going to make a real live update on the shows, and we're going to attempt to grow this $1,000 initial investment to $100,000 through buying, selling, and being involved in the sports.
And we plan to Matt, as Matt mentioned, that every piece of movement we will keep activity on this from $1,000 all the way up to hopefully $100,000 to keep the show updated on every move until we get to that 100,000.
We'll obviously have a spreadsheet that we'll keep on this as well, which we'll hopefully be able to share when we arrived at that 100,000 to be able to show kind of the journey on paper as well, incrementally, how to be able to go from 1,000 to 100,000 and how that looks, and not only the timeline. And obviously the goal is right now that number one, can we get to, I think Kern or Ham, one of y'all said it earlier, can we get to $2,000, right? I mean, that's the goal. So the hardest part is going to be getting this thing off the ground and getting that first 1,000 or two. But yeah. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and the rule is that we all three of us have to agree, right, on what the move is, like to how to spend the first 1,000, and then every move thereafter, whether it's trade or sell or grade or whatever, we all have to be on the same page. We all have to check it off.
So, I will say that the requirement, boys, is we have to do the Joaquin Phoenix from Gladiator, where we hold the thumb out and we, you know what I mean? We get the thumbs down or thumbs up. We got to give it the old Joaquin.
I'm just curious, Ham, do you think we're going to get into like National Treasures basketball now with the new Kern, that maybe he saw some new flashy cards over there that'll be in our journey here?
I will tell you, if little Matt's involved, there's going to be some of that stuff involved. He's just help us, kind of level this up. But I will say this live and public on the show, 12 a.m. Kern is not allowed to bring his buying decisions.
That's why the safety net's in place. 3 thumbs up. We get a 1 a.m. bender, we're going to end up with like a Lionel Messi soccer card.
Hey guys, sorry, I sold our $1,000 card for $800. I needed to pay for the break.
We're moving in the wrong direction. So, little Matt is not back to school yet, and he's over here in the fringe. And during the whole episode, we kind of teased him with this, and so he's got a couple of cards he's already found.
Let's hear what he's got. I'm intrigued.
I think he's bringing them to the table. So, what we got here, boss?
All right, so I've been looking, and one of them, so if you can see it well, it's a Caminero Refractor 9.5 SGC, and then a Caminero Lava Topps Chrome out of 8.
Okay.
So the guy's asking $1,300, so I think those could be ones we could maybe get to
Out of
1,000,
budget.
and then another one, Roman Anthony Refractor 10.
What's the values on these though, Ham? Like what, like little Matt, like are that, so the $1,300, what's the real value on these cards?
Roman, the guy's asking 12. I think it's worth around 1,300. And then the Camineros, the lava lamp out of 8 is up the price, but the refractor is pretty. I think it's around $300. And then the lava lamp, I would say, is probably around 900. So you're looking around 1,200 for the Caminero pair.
So if we could pick those up for $800, $900, we'd be feeling good.
I think that's kind of a stretch.
The budget's 1,000.
I know that is. So I'm saying maybe if we could pick them up for 1,000, but I just don't know. I'd rather have the Roman than the Camineros.
What's the Roman? Refractor 1010?
Refractor 1010.
1010.
So here's the thanks for looking those up, buddy. Here's the challenge with this, guys, is it's not only about the card, it's about the timing. Because I think Roman, quite honestly, is a decent buy right now because he just signed a huge contract. You know what I mean? He's starting to get some traction. In the offseason, I think he's going to have a lot of eyes on him. But again, like, is your time window on buying and selling a Roman going to be a quick turn? I just don't think it is.
Well, I'm kind of. Go ahead. Kern is on delay over here. You're on delay, Kern.
Go ahead, Kern.
No, I was going to say, well, then we could explore the option of, if we liked Roman, we could explore the option of buying raw, which is going to be a huge risk, being that it's from 23 Bowman. Maybe we could scoop up 3 refractors and gem 1, and we're in good shape.
What are they going for raw?
$500.
Okay, so 2 refractors and hope to gem 1.
Gem 1. Bubba, what were you going to see?
I was just going to say, I don't know how we could go wrong with Connor Griffin right now. I mean, if we're talking about short term, the buyers are there. If we could go out there and find a good deal on a Connor Griffin or two, $499, or even a raw blue,
What
we could
does
somehow find one for around $1,000.
what does a JJ Weatherholt refractor auto do right now? Do you know?
$300. I think Weatherholt and Basayo right now. Like, I'll be honest, a Basayo base auto right now. I saw one a guy put up the other day for like $290. That's something to me. Like, if he comes out and hits, you know what I mean, in his next couple of games, I see his base auto doubling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
like it.
On JJ,
And again,
the 300 is a 10 or raw?
That's raw. JJ Weatherholt refractor 10 would probably be closer to like 600.
What about, could I talk you boys into spending $100 on Michael Harris $499 auto right now? I saw one sell for $74 the other day. $74. That's
No.
a steal.
I know, but I think
problem
that's
with
going
that
to take a little too long to.
The Braves are in the playoffs, and since they're not going to be in the crosshairs right now, I just feel like while he's playing great, I just don't feel like you're going to have the energy around the Braves. Like, if they were in a playoff push right now, and he was that price point, and he had the opportunity to kind of be who carried him in the playoffs, like, I'd say all in.
What about Jacob Marcy? His blues are selling for $180.
Super. And again, maybe they have more of an opportunity on the playoff push. I go back to your original thought, Garrett. I think right now, Connor Griffin, McGonigal, and JJ Weatherholt, like, those 3 guys are just in the mix, and they're super hype right now. And what you see is like their color stuff is hyper liquid. If you can find it, I'll be dead honest. I'm going to give you the true. People ask for gains and losses. The Twins got hooked at the National, so they started buying. They wanted to buy Weatherholt because they heard us talking about him or whatever. We bought a Weatherholt Gold Raw for $1,400 a week ago. Threw it on eBay at $25 or $27.50. Snap ball.
That's what I'm saying, and he could very well get the call really, really soon, and I think that is one that is going to shoot up. I think it's.
Let's make a quick grand. I have a gold PSA 9 Weatherholt. I just bought for $2,000. All right, sitting there. Well, let's get a quick grand and let's crack that PSA 9 and try to get that bump. That could be a $5,000 or $6,000 card for us on our journey right there.
The problem is though, I only have $1,000.
$1,000. We got $1,000.
We got to make it that we got to make 1,000 really quick.
No, we got
let's get to 2,000. We can buy that card.
Buy that card.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of game plan. Well, again, boys, I think this is going to be a great segment, and we talk about all day long, and we will off the air or whatever, and just update folks on what we're doing. But I think this is super helpful for our listeners to see how we think about different opportunities in the hobby.
Agree.
Well, and that's, I mean, I invite our listeners to share ideas with us. If you see a card or you see an idea or you see something for us, let us know. Because I mean,
you want to give us a good deal to get started? Let us know.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll take
a refractor.
We'll take it. So, guys, let's kind of get, we're kind of hitting our hour mark on the show today. I know we did want to talk about one thing before we close here. This would be the last little segment of today's show, and I just want to, while we talk about prospects all the time and guys like Connor and JJ and, the hype around these guys that are coming up or whatever, you've got other guys that are like consistent major league contributors who are like the superstars, if you will, in today's game that are getting massively overlooked. And one of them is Kern's boy, Francisco Lindor, who just posted, is it 5 consecutive 2020 seasons?
I don't know if I remember if it was 3 or 5, but whatever it was he was the first shortstop in MLB history to do that.
And you own his Superfractor, arguably his best card in existence, his best card in existence because they didn't have debut badges or whatever back then. Would you look at the game that's being played around these prospects? There are prospects cards that are outselling Francisco Lindor's Superfractor right now. And your boy Brent is rolling over in his proverbial grave as he sees this happening because he looks at the long-term value on a guy like Lindor. Another guy that it's not quite Lindor status, but I look at Trey Turner. Trey Turner, he is arguably the best defensive shortstop in the league right now, stat-wise. He's having a great year defensively. He's batting close to 300. The Phillies are making a strong playoff push. You know what I mean? Like, what do you guys have to say about these kind of, perennial all-star studs that are just getting completely hosed in a sports card market that likes the newest flashy guy?
I was going to let you take that one first, but I mean, look, like guys like that this is where the hobby makes no sense, right? And you can't try to make sense of it to somebody that's either new or, a veteran in this hobby. It just doesn't make sense because the hobby is built on hype and impulse and, gambling to an extent. And so people are always going to enjoy that aspect of it. And there's guys, I think, that like Lindor, like Trey Turner, and like Jose Ramirez, even though he didn't have Bowman first, but guys like that, Ketel Marte, that are undervalued. And, I think when you look at if you take a step back and you look at their statistics and their trajectory of where they're going to be in comparison to players in their position in the future, Lindor's like a first ballot Hall of Famer. Not first ballot, but he's a no doubt Hall of Famer. That's for sure. And he's 31 years old. And Gary and I were looking this up the other day. He'll share more because he was looking it up on his side mostly. But I think he's extremely undervalued right now. But I'm hoping the fact that when he makes the Hall of Fame, his market will pick up a little bit. I mean, like we've never really had the experience, like there's never been a Superfractor sale of somebody that has been in the Hall of Fame because the Superfractor hasn't been around since, before 2010. There's nobody elected to the Hall of Fame that had a Bowman first super. So how is that going to be affected from the market standpoint? Lindor's an easy one for me to sit there and buy because I'm a big Mets fan, right? Like I bought that with the intention of it could be any sort of value. It could be $0 and I don't care because I own Francisco Lindor's best card, right? But as a strategy, I don't know that, it's a good thought to go out there and look at the guys that are undervalued in that position of who could you buy and just stash away long term. We don't know what's going to happen in their market, but I don't know. Gary, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's really hard to have two different gears running in your head where we're so much in this Bowman prospecting game. It's what we eat, live, and sleep every single day. Eat, drink, and sleep every single day with Bowman prospects. And to me, it's really hard to change that gear. But if I was going to change that gear And I got my mind starting to think about almost like a portfolio. If you look at these guys and you look at some of these guys that are down here, I'll use Mookie Betts for an example. Okay. Mookie Betts is having a down year, right? Well, Mookie Betts, though, all time is already at 32 years old, is already 90th all time in Major League Baseball in WAR. Okay. He's at 73 WAR and he's 32 years old. Okay. I don't know how many huge years Mookie Betts has left, but he's got productive baseball left in him, right? I think we'd all agree on that. Mookie Betts easily, if he just continues to play another 5 years, is a top 50 player all time. If he has productive years ahead, another 7 or 8 years, he's a top 10 almost player, right around Ted Williams type numbers. And that's hard for people to believe when you hear the name Ted Williams, phenomenal player, 14th all time, 121.8 all time WAR. Mookie Betts is already at 73. And Mookie Betts' price, because he's not been playing well, his 9.5 gold is about 50% of where it was 3 years ago. Do I believe Mookie Betts is going to be higher in 20 or 30 years? Absolutely, I do. And I think when you start to look at guys like him and you start to look at even guys like Kershaw and Verlander and Scherzer, these guys that are top 100 WAR players and generational talents, I think there's a huge argument to be made that a lot of those guys are not getting the attention on them because Otani's getting the love, because Judge has gotten the love. And I think those guys are going to have a lot of value the day that they wear the jacket when they make the Hall of Fame. And to me, if I was going to have a portfolio and say, hey, I had $100,000 and I wanted to stash it over here and I could fill it up with those type of players, I would put a lot of money on it. I think in 50 years from now that would be worth 10 times what it's worth today, in my opinion.
And you have anything? I had a thought.
Yeah, no, I think Gary nailed it in the first part. Also, like the hardest part, given what we're doing, is the switching gears, right? Like we're in this prospect world, and this hype world, and so focused on that, it's a whole new strategy to go that route.
Well,
It
the
requires
problem
a lot of
is,
thought.
yeah, I'm going to go on a bit of an old man thought process here for a second. Like this generation has been so conditioned to the quick fix. It's instantaneous gratification. Like the world and era of cell phones. I mean, we don't have to wait for anything. We don't have to look anything up in an encyclopedia or a dictionary. We just ask Siri and it tells us. You know what I mean? Like the other day I was doing math and I look over and Matthew's like talking to Siri and Siri just added all the numbers up. And I'm like, why in the heck am I adding these numbers up? Like they just, you know what I mean? It's like the world's changed, right? But because of that instantaneous gratification, I think the market trends are towards that quick fix. What can I buy and get quick return on? You know what I mean? We don't think about long-term stability. We don't think about long-term value. When you look though at long-term value in the world around us, you look at land, you look at real estate, you look at property, you look at stuff that's going to have long-term value. So a guy like Mookie Betts, the other piece is what's interesting about this era of baseball that happened between 2003-ish, 2005 up till 2015. Like that window was really odd in my opinion. You had like Albert Pujols and you had like Miguel Cabrera, and then you had the onset of early Mike Trout. Like those three guys, and then of course the pitchers that you mentioned, but those three guys really drove the market. Outside of that, I don't have a bunch of names that stick in my head. When you go to the 90s, though, and you had Bonds, and you had Griffey, and you had Thomas, and you had Ripken, and you had, all these guys, I feel like we're in such a unique spot right now because the type of player that we've seen from 2015 on, your Judges, your Shoheis, your Acuñas, or whatever, like we don't really know what the market's going to look like 20 years from now. And your Mookie Betts, your Trey Turners, your Francisco Lindors, the Miguel Cabreras, that they're going to be the ones in the middle that stand to gain the most out of a potential future market that values these guys' rare cards on such a high level. I mean, Matthew told me the other day, listen to this, guys, they'll blow your mind. A Barry Sanders Precious Metal Gems, okay? A Barry Sanders Precious Metal Gems is expected to do over $500,000 right now.
Wow.
And it's a PMG. And so you think, okay, well, what is the PMG of the baseball market 20 years from now? Because that's what it is. We're post 20 years, the mid-90s PMGs, and now here we are, the reds, the oranges, the supers, like it's really hard to even fathom that's what's driving this market though.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. When you look at these names, I'm sitting here just, if you can see me right now and you're not just listening to us right now, you see me feverishly just going through the numbers here. It blows my mind when you think about card pricing and how much it changes over. Look at a guy like Juan Soto, and I hate Juan Soto. Okay, I hate Juan Soto. I hate the Mets, and I hate Juan Soto. But
We
Juan
hate you too.
Soto, but what Juan Soto is doing at his age and where his WAR is, he's already like a 41 WAR, and everybody's looking at Juan Soto and going, he's had a horrible year. He's got 30 bombs. He's got 30 bombs with 45 days left in the season. The guy in a bad year is going to hit 40 home runs. And so when you look at those type of guys, look at Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker gets no love. He's kind of like Trey Turner you talked about earlier. Kyle Tucker is a stud.
Yep.
If he ends up going to the Yankees, I mean, or somebody like that, Kyle Tucker's value is going to triple overnight. And the guy that's getting hate on, Julio Rodriguez, who everybody all year.
Man, he's hot right now.
Dude, his golds, though. His golds got down. Y'all remember when his 9.5 golds a couple years ago were going for like 25 grand? I mean, I owned them. So I know I had a lot of them. His golds recently were down to 4 and 5K and 9.5s. He's gotten too cheap. And it's because people have slept on these guys. When you fall out of favor this day and time, you get crushed. When you fall into favor, you're like a rocket. Look at a guy like Gunnar Henderson. Gunnar Henderson is already he's having a 4 WAR season, and he's really not playing that well. He's got a 279 batting average, 14 homers, but the dude's a baller in the field. And so to me, I think there's a compelling argument that some of these guys that are really, really good players, as so many of our eyes are on prospects, I think some of these guys, Ham, to your point, are getting extremely undervalued.
I mean, the hobby will correct itself long term. I mean, ultimately, collectors will collect what it is that they collect. These PMGs that I mean, you get PMGs of nobody that are 5-figure cards. And the reason why is because there are always going to be set collectors who want to collect the sets, and there's some guy Looney Tune out there enough to try to want to collect red refractors, or whatever. And so there's always going to be high demand and high value on these low population cards. And again, we've been conditioned to move them rather quickly, and we're not thinking in a 10, 15, 20-year investment window because it seems silly to do that with paper, a cardboard. But the reality is there. And there are plenty of people who have sat on stashes of PMGs for the last 20 years that are absolutely getting paid right now if they choose to liquidate.
Well, I think it really just depends on your strategy, right? I mean, I've chosen the strategy. When I first got in it, I chose the investment strategy. The mistake I made was I invested in the wrong stuff, right? I was buying stickeratos and all the wrong stuff. If I had done the same thing and said at that time, I'm going to invest in all of Aaron Judge's Bowman First autos, and I had sat on them, I would be way up. Up.
If you'd have bought Jordan inserts with your initial investment right now, you would have tripled it.
Exactly. And so I think there's different ways to play the game. I've just chose the game with the volatility that I got to see and how to me, there was no rationale to how volatile the card space can get. I haven't forgotten how that scared me. Ham, kind of what you said. It scared the living daylights out of me to have as much money in exposure as I did to the card space. And honestly, what it makes you do is it makes you resent the card space when it's that bad. It makes you start resenting it and going, this is not fun. How can it be fun to be in the card space and losing a ton of money? That's not fun. People that are losing a ton of money aren't going to do it a long time. You know what is fun? Doing what we're doing right now. Prospecting on guys, finding the guys, taking them, flipping them, being a part of their journey, studying them. I'm not saying you can't lose money that way, but if you're smart and you do your homework and you buy right coming in and you sell at the right times and you ring the register, you can have a lot of fun and make money. And that's the preferred route for me right now. And I'll let my investment money go sit in there in the S&P 500 and make me 10 to 15%, and I'll be okay.
Kern, any final thoughts as we wrap up? You go put some sunscreen on.
Yeah, I'm struggling here to even see. This was a bad idea. Milk was a bad choice. Oh, man, little Anchorman reference. No, we do have to announce the giveaway winner though.
Oh yeah, we do. Yes, we do.
We announcing it on the show right now?
Yeah, yes.
Think we should.
Kern, Have at it.
First off, thank you everybody who participated and entered. We're happy that we're in a position where we were able to give thank you to the Bowman Farmer to give this Connor Griffin away. A lot of participation, so thank you. There's many more to come. The winner of the giveaway, the Connor Griffin Refractor Auto PSA 10, is Henbrist_sports. Congratulations to you. Shoot us a DM with your address and how you'd like us to get this to you, and we'll work out all the details. Again, thank you to everybody who participated. Stand by, more to come.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so on that front, I did go back through the comments today as Ham and Kern taught me how to look at comments. So I finally did learn and be able to go through there as we were trying to get the list together. And just so thankful to all of you guys that did. I mean, some of y'all did 15 posts and shared it to a lot of people and shared our show, and really thankful to all of y'all that support our show, and wanted to put a special shout out to Rocket City Cards. They're a friend of the show, have really become a big friend of the show, and have helped us on several occasions, whether it be finding cards I want to shout that out. I mean, when it's never bothering us, but from anybody on the show to send us a message, or especially if you see a card or something you think we're into. I mean, it's so appreciated. And Rocket City not only helped us find some cards, but I had mistakenly posted some cards that were in air, and he had caught those cards. Instead of going on there and buying these cards and taking advantage of the situation, notified us, and just really thankful to our listeners, man. And a lot of them have become friends and just not listeners. And so it's awesome to see.
The other thing I want to mention too is we get so many people reaching out asking for input, and we try our best to answer all of them. And again, we can't answer everyone on the show, and when we do have people that ask, we try to mix that up and let those kind of comments and listener questions come from different areas. So we're always going to try to get back with you. And if for some reason we don't, just ping us and just say, hey man, no, you guys are busy, and we'll get to it. But we've all got kids and, other businesses and other things going on. And so don't ever take it personal if you don't hear back from us. It's just a matter of being overloaded and trying to keep up with everything. Sports Card CEO, we appreciate you. See you next week. Peace.